I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up politics. Trump's post raises war crime concerns over threats to target civilian infrastructure in Iran. A social media post by President Donald Trump on Easter Sunday is drawing sharp scrutiny from legal experts and national security observers, after he appeared to threaten attacks on infrastructure in Iran. Posting on Truth Social, Trump wrote, quote, "Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah," end quote. The remarks followed a high-risk U.S. military incident in Iran, where a U.S. F-15 fighter jet was shot down over Iranian territory, with the pilot rescued nearly 48 hours later. Experts say Trump's references to power plants and bridges suggest potential targeting of civilian infrastructure. Under the Geneva Conventions, deliberately striking civilian systems not used for military purposes is considered a war crime. Such infrastructure supports hospitals, evacuation routes, and access to clean water, making their destruction especially dangerous for civilian populations. The post also referenced the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil route. Iran has closed the passage in recent weeks following U.S. and Israeli strikes, contributing to rising oil prices. And analysts and experts are considering Trump's statement. Speaking on MS Now, legal analyst Ankush Kadori said, quote, "We have the president of the United States basically declaring its intent to commit war crimes," end quote. The White House has not responded to requests for comment from the media. Wow. You know, when your Easter message sounds less like he has risen and more like bridges are falling, we've got a freaking problem. You know, foreign policy should not sound like a drunk group chat at 2 a.m. Okay. This isn't reality TV. This is real reality, you know. And with that, you know, we've got someone on the table who is ex-military, who had to serve under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, who, you know, worked closely with the Pentagon. How does this wash over you, Jason?
So when you were reading that, I initially was going to ask like the question, like, what episode of South Park was this? Because this is like some shit unheard of. Mm-hmm. So I was in the military 23 years. And I was covered by the Geneva Convention. As a religious institution, it's one of those safe spaces that you can't bomb, you can't attack, you can't become a prisoner of war, because the global laws of engagement, the global laws of war are set for a reason. Bridges, infrastructure, that is the part of the humanitarian aid that's going to happen pre, during, and post-war. To deliberately target, that is basically like blowing up a school. Like there's no real positive reason, there's no justified reason to bomb infrastructure. You know, they teach us about targeting in NCO Academy, Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, and literally they stress the rules of engagement, Geneva Convention. And when they talk about targeting, like, we can be court-martialed, we can be imprisoned for life if the United States military, takes action on any of these international safe spaces under the Geneva Convention. So when I saw that message, it took me back to my time in Afghanistan and how, you know, you can't control the enemy on what they do, but you can control what the U.S. does. And for the president of the United States to say that, I cringed for every military member that's currently serving in uniform and those who are headed to basic training, that this is what they're going to be serving under for the next few years. And it's truly a disgrace to the uniform and to our country.
Those poor kids, you know, because they're kids in comparison to our age at this point, and they're kids going into this, and it's just, it's heartbreaking. Brian, what do you think, baby?
Well, I just think, you know, those straits, they're always doing something to us gays, because that Strait of Hormuz is really, you know, fouling us up in terms of, you know, oil prices. I understand kind of the skewed logic of wanting, to bomb things in order to get what you want. But you don't make a drunk tweet at 2:00 in the morning or an Alzheimer's tweet, a sundowning tweet at 2 in the morning.
Sundowning, yeah.
A sundowning tweet at 2 in the morning, because, the next thing he does is then he talks about somebody he doesn't like. It's completely, stream of consciousness, train of thought. And I'm just so sorry for the people that are going to be affected negatively, our men and women in uniform, and the people in Iran that are going to suffer the consequences of our administration.
Or us, I just paid $80 to fill my gas tank. $80, boys. Greg, what are you thinking?
Well, in addition to being a pedophile and a pathological liar who lives in fear of being sent to prison for his various misdeeds, demented Kenkels McTackowitz is also a war criminal. He is a war criminal who thinks that rules don't apply to him, and now that he's teamed up with Miss Hegseth, he's running out of steam by the minute, and his downfall will be celebrated for generations to come.
I'm not saying I disagree with anything, but all views expressed at this panel are solely those of the commentator who made them. I'm going to go a little.
Don't worry, that comes up at the end with the credits.
Perfect.
On purpose.
Okay, thank you.
And there is no other, even though I agree with Greg 100%. You can put that at the end of the credits if you want to. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.